This leads us into the board forum. The board forum is public comment upon any subject that's not on the agenda and is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We have quite a few cards, so I'll be holding you to that 3 minutes. Tyrone Vanderhall, please come forward.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
And what was that? I missed it.
You have 3 minutes to speak, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, everybody on the panel. I appreciate your time and your consideration. I just want to say I reiterate what the pastor said, and we thank you, police officers, for your hard work that you do in the neighborhood. But I've come here today. I have problems that I wanted to talk to you about concerning policies and procedures that I feel that haven't been followed pertaining to myself. And I would hope that possibly while I'm here today to receive some kind of answers, maybe from the chief, the assistant chief, or whatever. But I seem to have had a problem with search warrants being served without probable cause, in office approving months after searches have been conducted. I've had a problem with chain of evidence, drugs, money, marked money that's supposed to have been used in a sale and a purchase from me that's not showing up in the evidence room. And CHAD reports, unapproved search warrants that weren't approved at the time of the search that all of a sudden have somehow miraculously become approved. I think that we gave all the county council, city council members a copy of the package, which there was exhibits in it that you can look at for yourself. I hate to be down here like this, but I think that for the seriousness of the charges, I had a public defender that defended me. I seen for 15 minutes. I was facing 12 years. He seen me for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes. And I feel that the grievance board, I went to internal affairs with a grievance that I had, and I found out that it's supposed to be a 5-member board, and it was investigated by an officer that was there. I don't seem to understand from the paperwork that I have that any officer that's conducted 190 searches don't know that probable cause is supposed to be found before you come to somebody's house.
I understand, sir. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, your time's up, but I will ask that you get with Mr. Wells over there and also Assistant Police Chief Alexander after the meeting and see if you can get some of your questions answered. Thank you. Next, we have Jeffrey Gradstock.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to follow up with this a little bit. The police do a wonderful job in this town for the most part. We appreciate them a lot. But there are instances, not only with Mr. Vanderhall, but with other people here, that have had questionable searches, questionable chain of custody on the evidence, and questionable results on grievance procedures. Now, the Department of Justice says there has to be a 5-man panel in any place that has over 100 police officers working for it, and Pensacola has that. However, if you look at the grievance that you have, you will see that it's not a 5-man panel. It is against a particular officer, reviewed by another officer, and when we got an unsatisfactory answer, we called the police department and asked them where to appeal it. Their answer to us was, it doesn't get appealed. This is an in-house thing, that's the end of it. We found out later that that's not true. We can take this to the Department of Justice through the Attorney General's office and other things. All I'm saying here is that the perception is that the police department here is treating certain minorities different than they are other people, and that it needs to be looked into. I mean, it's a serious issue. We're trying to prevent anything like Ferguson or New York City or Phoenix, Arizona, or any of these other places from happening here. They have a hands up, don't shoot rally several weeks ago, which was well attended. People were very mannerly, and the police let them do their thing, which is very commendable. We'd like to keep it like that. We'd like to be able to see the police do their job without further interference, without having to worry about somebody when they come and knock on your door, that they know they're correct, the person in there is what he is, and that there's not going to be a big issue. Beside that, it takes a lot of tax money to go to court, file an appeal, file another appeal, file another appeal. That's money that's out of our pockets. And so if the procedures are done right in the first place, that's not going to happen. And I think that's what we need to concentrate on in this town, amongst other issues that you all have. But it definitely needs to be looked at. All right, thank you for your time, and I hope that some kind of a resolution can be made to this.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Gradstock, 1 second. Councilwoman Myers?
Yes, thank you. I just had a question for somebody, maybe Mr. Barker, I don't know. Do we have a procedure, a grievance procedure that people can access online?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
If you write to that a grievance, okay, to the police department, I believe it shows up in the package that I sent you. They send you or give you a form. Hang on a minute. That looks like this. It comes from the police department itself, has your name, your address, and basically the complaint, whatever that happens to be. Within a matter of a few days, they will send you a report, okay, addressing that grievance. Okay, and I have no problem with the way they address it. They address what you ask. But my issue with it is that it's supposed to be a 5-man panel, but if you look at it, it's signed by one individual. When you call the police department, and I believe it was Captain Alexander or Lieutenant Scully, the answer is, well, I looked at it. That's not what the DOJ is saying. The DOJ is saying there's supposed to be a 5-man independent panel. 2 of them are supposed to be picked by the officer that the grievance is on, 1 by the commander, and 1 is an independent individual, to have a fair and impartial decision on whatever the grievance is, whether it be a search warrant or a traffic violation or whatever. And one of our big arguments here is that they're not doing that here. I mean, I don't know whether they don't know that they're supposed to or they just haven't done it. But I think it needs to be looked into, because I'm absolutely sure that we're not the only person that's ever filed a grievance.
Okay.
And the other issue is it seems to be very unforthcoming when you're done. If you get a decision you don't like, and we all get decisions we don't like, where you go with it. I mean, the answer that the police department gives you is you have to take it to court. Well, that's not necessarily true. And I think that has to be more well stated to somebody calling in, because the people here don't know. Okay, we didn't know. It took us a month to figure out where to go with this thing because we didn't like the answer. But there should be a brochure or a pamphlet or something that could be made up that could go from the police to you when they file the answer to tell you what to do if you don't like that answer. Sending it back to the guy who wrote the thing or answered it originally doesn't solve the problem.
Let me ask you, if you would contact me, okay? I'd like to talk to you further about it, okay?
I would, very well, very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Breck.